Good evening and welcome back to action from Table 2, and this is Pro Event 2 and this match between Stevie Dempsey, Peter Mullaney. I'm joined on comms by Ryan Fleming. How are you doing, Ryan?
Yeah, good, thank you, Nick. I'm all good. This is me back to back on the comms for Table 2.
Yeah, you're putting in a shift.
That's what happens when you get knocked out of the tournament.
Yeah, that's the trouble. That is the problem. But, it's a good distraction. You get to watch some pool from this side.
Yeah, there's not too many options in Blackpool.
No.
Do commentary or go in the Pepsi Max.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. I think in all the times, goodness knows how many times I've been here, but I've been out drinking once, and it wasn't a pool-related event. I brought all the lads from work. We all went to Barrow and Furness to see the submarines being built, and we stopped off for a night in Blackpool on the way back, and ended up in a nightclub till about 4 o'clock in the morning. It's the only time I've ever been out in Blackpool.
Yeah, we used to play our international events here, so I've seen all of the Blackpool nightlife then. But
well, I say the only time ever. I mean, I came up here about 30 years ago when there was the Palace nightclub here, and we ended up going in there, but that was that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, some of the guys love it. They enjoy coming up here and having a good night out.
Yeah, it's not for me. I'm a
Stevie.
I'm a old man now.
Yeah.
Father of two, I can't be doing that sort of thing.
No, I know. Yeah. Similar, especially when you're working over the weekend as well. It's not really ideal to be waking up with a hangover. I've done that in the past on the odd occasion. Ended up getting involved and going to a casino till 5 o'clock in the morning and having to get up at 8 and start commentating for a 12-hour shift. It's not fun.
No, not
it's really not fun. I've learnt my lesson. So, a loose shot from Stevie, going in off. Didn't expect that one. He had a tough shot to try and develop. But Peter Mullaney's already won a match, a good sculpt really against Cole Bedford in his prelim.
Yeah, I actually watched I was on the table after them, so I watched the back end of that match. I think Peter got on the hill early. I think he was maybe 6'4", 6'3" maybe. He was a little bit ahead. Cole pegged him back, but he held himself together well. Took out a lot of big shots. A lot of times he left himself a long pressure ball, got down, knocked down as if it was over the bag. It's not a player I know too much about, Peter, but I mean he's definitely impressed me.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's good, solid player, and he'll be looking to make inroads in this season.
I think this is his second year as a pro, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes that first year as a pro is just if you don't find your feet early, it can be almost like, okay, let's just learn my lessons for next season. So he's maybe thinking to himself, this season he knows where he's going. He's not one of the new guys.
Yeah, and I think that's the way you've got to take it sometimes. That first season, just find your feet, bed yourself in, get used to playing in a different environment. Oh dear, return the favour.
This is you see this quite a lot where they both have the same balls to bring out, and it's kind of almost gets to the stage. It's the guy who goes first tends to lose, but
it surprises me a bit. I'm looking at this thinking, put it down the bottom end and develop that yellow, don't you? I mean,
I think
maybe you can pop that yellow.
How's his cue power? Just goes straight back into the
maybe.
yellow red.
Yeah. I was just thinking.
Yeah, just the natural shot to leave yourself an angle and play the cannon. I think does scream out here, but Stevie sees it this way, and
you can't blame him. I mean, that's a.
I think he should be alright here. He might a little bit of trouble getting.
Yeah,
it's
trying to get the cue ball to spin down there, isn't it? I mean,
I think you're almost happy leaving yourself if you had to, a little cushion first
Yeah,
on this last
yeah,
yellow.
yeah.
Because the white's naturally giving you the black into. Well, he's digging down on this. Is he trying to spin it?
Come back into the. Oh no, he was trying to just hold it. It's loads of.
Slidey table. I don't know if he's gained any extra
No.
room there. This is certainly a cushion first at best, but
Should go close. I mean, it's still got some distance to travel to the pocket, so it's not an absolute gimme, but you fancy him to get close with it. Oh, the way he's cueing that, I think that if he hits there, the cue ball's surely going to hit the top side of the yellow, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it did. The way he was lining his cue, it just seemed
yeah, you didn't know.
seemed to be short of it.
Yeah, I think sometimes he's a shot like that. You know, you're not getting the correct angle, but you're hoping that the kind of slide in the big pocket will
Yeah.
maybe creep in.
Yeah. So Peter with his second bite of the cherry, and he's tried to come back across for this one at the bottom of the table. I mean, I kind of get it, but at the same time, I think I probably would have left an angle on the one on the right and just backed myself to get below it.
Yeah, maybe just leave the one he's playing out till last.
Yeah.
But he's,
Oh dear,
I think
he's
he's gone
okay.
far enough.
Just gone far enough. That would have been in his mouth just for a split second there.
He's got right into that.
Yeah. I mean, it's another one, isn't it? I mean, most players would have left that to the middle, wouldn't
I
they?
actually think I think he maybe tried to.
Yeah.
We've seen the
Just
last match. We've seen Morgan and Chris both. The table was a lot more reactive than they expected. So
Oh,
Peter.
ouch.
He was kind of up off that quick. I think he
Nervy, doesn't he?
knew he missed it just as he's hit it. You'd imagine he's going to be bumping into the 8 here. Oh no, he got by it. Nice.
Yeah, very nice. So, having both had a couple of great chances, it's Stevie Dempsey that wins the first frame. Just try and, if you set your standards out and say, right, I need to be winning 3 events this year, and you just can't do it. You just need to. I think at the start of the season, if you set yourself the target to lift 1 trophy, then everything else above that's a bonus. And
yeah, no, that's.
I know, these players really do set themselves high standards. Talking of high standards, Phil Harrison is carving through the field over in the Pro 1. He's 6-1 up against Phil Parkin in the Battle of the Phils. It looks like he's going to take his place to play Cormac Kerr in the semi-final. So the way that's shaping up is John McAllister will play Aaron Davis, and Phil Harrison's done the job 7-1. So at the top and bottom, John McAllister 7-1 over Jez Gray and Phil Harrison 7-1 over Phil Parkin. So they've always looked as if they were on target to clash in the final, being in either half of the section. I mean, obviously Aaron and Cormac are both going to have a say in that, but it almost feels a little bit of an inevitability to those two clashing in the final. They've been the favourites with the bookies since probably the last 32, I think, when most of the players were out.
Yeah, a lot of the big names were out by the last 32. I think at that point my pick was Jack Whelan.
Yeah.
Who did he lose to?
Yeah, Jack. He was ahead in that game as well. He lost to. Oh, my memory's not good enough to recall it, but I can find it. Arf and Dad.
Okay.
Arf and Dad 7-5. Yeah. It's been a really interesting first event. There's players who have now come into the pro ranks. I guess, if you look at Carl Cope, he may not have an expectation on himself, but definitely people watching him and watching his career have got an expectation that he's going to do things, and he's hit the ground running this weekend. He's had a great first event, I think.
I commentated on his game against Shane. Shane didn't look himself at all, but Kyle looked in no way out of place in the pro ranks. Not just the standard he produced, even the way he handled himself around the table, he looked so at home.
Yeah.
Then Morgan, another new pro, who's just beat Chris Mellon.
Yeah, Morgan. I mean, I was in a podcast last week and got asked a question of who to watch out from the players that have come up, and the first two names were Morgan and Kyle,
which is a that's going to help a lot, because like you say, if you have this expectation, it's almost like you get a sense of it's going to come without real effort.
Yeah.
Whereas Morgan can't be accused of that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fantastic to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on this season. I've not had a chance to watch him this weekend, but obviously a great win there against Chris Mullaney.
Yeah, to be honest, it wasn't Morgan's best, but
it's a great scalp though, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to play your best against someone like that.
That was kind of the impressive part, was that Morgan didn't play his best, neither did Chris. So at that point it then becomes who can grind the match out, who can pot the important balls, hold themselves together. And Morgan done that over Chris, who's one of the best and most experienced players ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it should be a great season. I mean, the other one that I was really interested to see how he gets on was Clayton Castaldi, because he's really is a bit of an unknown quantity. I know he's current world champion, but just to base what he's going to do in this event just based on the fact that he won that world championship. I mean, it's obviously he's going to have a swagger, he's going to have a confidence in the way he plays, he's going to be a dangerous player, but it's interesting because this is a whole different environment.
Yeah, I've actually had to answer the question already this weekend at least 5 times. Who's that? Is he the world champion?
Yeah.
I'm like, I've known Clayton for years because he dips in and out of the international scene.
Yeah.
He's playing for Team Malta, he's at singles events, and then you don't see him for a few years. And then every time you see him, it's the same thing. He is very, very good, but you can just tell he doesn't play often.
Yeah.
And then when I seen him win the Worlds, I thought, oh, great, that's like, you like seeing someone like that win a big event.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually know he was joining the pros until the draws come out, but it was great to see his name.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't. I mean, I had a few detractors say that that UP had announced that there weren't going to be any wild cards, and then they were a bit sort of peeved at the fact that they'd given one to Clayton, but he's current world champion.
So
I think
the
it's
world
a
champion.
no-brainer, you've got to get him into the ranks.
That absolute hammer of a break. Well, a hammer from the hammer.
Yeah. Sorry, we're kind of talking about the general game and kind of taking our eye off the ball a little bit in terms of what's happening on the table. But what Stevie's doing at the moment is kind of speaking for itself. Obviously, Peter went in off on the last one, and it's a bit of one-way traffic at the moment. It kind of set the tone in that first frame with Peter missing a couple of opportunities that he had.
Yeah, that's the thing. After the first frame, it's kind of hard to commentate on Stevie because, like, you don't expect to miss. you don't normally. There's not like, oh, this might go wrong. Like, the balls have been there, and you know Stevie's going to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is typical of that situation. I mean, there's work to be done. There is work to be done, but they're all there, and you just have this anticipation when he's at the table that you're kind of in safe hands. That there's a couple of players, if you had to pick somebody, to play a single frame, for you, for money, or for if you had a bullet to gun to your head or whatever, and you had to choose somebody, Stevie's up there and amongst them as one of the players. Tom's another one. You just feel safe when they're at the table in the knowledge that they're going to somehow navigate that clearance.
That's kind of the way I describe Stevie's pool. He's not all firepower, but he's just so reliable. He just doesn't make the little silly mistakes. He takes enough care over the finishes to get his pattern right, his cue ball right.
Yeah. In some ways, it's an unfair representation of their skill level because, when you take things for granted, you almost, I don't know if it's a word, but you almost robotize the person, and they're just going through the motions, but they're not. The level of skill to be able to do that is just phenomenal. There's so few players that can do that. Another one is probably Phil Harrison. We're just talking about players that have been at the top of the game or are at the top of the game now, or have been for years. They just know how to navigate the table. Stevie's, if you think, what was it? Probably a short 5 years ago when Stevie won an amateur event up in Scotland, wasn't it? It wasn't that long ago that he was ranked as an amateur, and here we are. We're talking about him. He's up amongst the best around. It's happened in a different way. It's over a long period. But people who know him know what he's about and know he was always capable of doing it. But it was just creating it on the table.
Yeah, I think it's like Kyle's probably a good example. Similar age for this example. If you took Kyle now and you just paused his career for maybe 10 years, let him go away, let him do education, family, life, all of this, then just come back and start off exactly where he left off. And that's kind of what I get with Stevie. I don't know exactly how he went, but I know he was at university. I'm sure he was living in America at one point, or I don't know. And then he just appeared again, just took off from where he left off.
Yeah.
So again, for Peter here, he really would have liked a cluster-free table, because he has to move a yellow. It's just nothing's really coming easy to him, which you would like at 4-0 down, an easy start.
I mean, I don't know if he's left this to play yellow off yellow, but I mean, it's not that close to the pocket.
Yeah, over this distance, it's tough to nail that.
That's a tough shot.
I would have been liking to try and bring my cue ball down to the bottom left-hand quarter.
I agree, yeah.
So you can pot into the bottom right and disturb the red, which I think he's actually tried to leave himself the angle to screw down into that base now.
Yeah. He seemed to snatch that one a little bit. There's definitely some nerves in that back end. He's just fired the cue at it.
I think it does get hard, especially when that first frame there was misses either side. That, especially the black, the red and black that he had, he should never ever make a mess of them. And then he's watched Stevie for the next few frames, and then he's come back to the table to lots of work again.
That's the cue ball again. Under onto cannon, and he's in no man's land here. The thing is, I mean, he's 4-0 ahead, and Peter's not putting him under any pressure whatsoever. So he's.
This is quite reminiscent of the first frame.
Yeah.
Both their problem balls. It's the same cannon that they're trying to play.
Yeah.
So we can see. I think we're going to see a few shots in this.
Stevie there almost took a liberty, didn't he, in that shot? I know he was trying to get that yellow over and put some cover across the other one, but that's a liberty he wouldn't have taken against a Phil Harrison or a Whelan or someone. He would have tried to find something else there. Yeah,
I think that was a 4-0 up shot for me. That's a 4-0 up rather than a 4-0 down.
Yeah. When
you know your opponent is having to make something happen, and there he's tried, he hasn't got it, and he's opened Stevie's red up.
Yeah.
So that's definitely being aware of not only what the scoreboard says, but being what's going on for your opponent.
He's got a wide angle on this now, and that's
nice. That's
got some work to do still. He's going to have to play this. He can get back out. He needs to leave the right angle to be able to screw back out of the from the yellows. Should be okay here. Just looking at the angle that he needs.
Yeah, you want in and out without touching the yellow, as long as the white's minimum of say a foot and a half off the bottom cushion maybe.
Yeah.
If you can get right up above the black, then you're ideal.
Yeah, he'll use the side cushion, bottom and side cushion. No, he didn't need to use the side cushion. He could just come straight up the table.
That's ball in hand, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
So yeah, definitely paid off. Stevie kind of dangling the carrot a bit there for.
Yeah. All one way so far. Shane will, he'll want to win that game regardless.
The thing is, it is a difficult thing for the guys. I can understand it's very tempting to be playing out the Chinese pool, but it is so detrimental to your 8-ball.
Yeah.
And if you accept that, then fair enough. But I could tell you firsthand, I probably around kind of 2016 to 2018 period, I dipped in and out of Chinese 8-ball, mixed with 8-ball, and it ruined years for me. I had years of poor results that I know were because I tried to chop and change.
Yeah. It's so different, isn't it? That's the thing. It's so different.
You see, probably Chris Mellon's the only one I've seen who he'll just play any cue sport and it won't be detrimental to the other. Well, certainly won't look detrimental to the other. But I for one can't chop and change with much success.
No, there's very, very few who can. I would just say probably really only Chris. Christophe Lambert's beaten Eddie Barker 7-3. We already know that Morgan McInnes has beaten Chris Melling 7-4. Cowboys beat Brian Halco 7-0. Brian was still dining out on his win against Chris Melling yesterday. He played really well actually yesterday, very good.
Yeah.
Nice to see Brian playing well. Connor Jones 5-3 up against Carl Sutton. Tom Cooney 3-2 up against David Hogan, another newcomer. And this really is just one-way traffic for Stevie Dempsey. Life's easy. Anyone who's ever been at the top, that cue ball.
Well, there you are. You look at a point where we had the Supreme Series, and Scott was flying on that, and then after him it was Shane. Shane was flying, and then you look at the two of them now. We're struggling for form. It's just it's just the way it seems to go.
Scott just bullied that Supreme Series. I mean, Phil Harrison was another one as well, but the season where I think Scott won 2 and Phil won 2, and Scott won at World Rules, having never played them before. He was just amazing. He would literally just bullied his way around the table.
It's such a crazy game that you can go through periods where you're winning tournaments comfortably, you have a fear factor around you, and it just disappears, and you can struggle for a season.
Yeah.
The same game, the same table, the same everything, and it just seems harder. So I'd say for Peter here, I fancy him to get these. I feel for him a little bit because he's not made masses of mistakes, and he's had to chase finish. This is the first one really where he's just had balls to finish.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I think you can just pop this and bump the red. He's going to leave the yellow long, but we still fancy him to get them from here. He's decided to screw on and off. I mean, as I say, he could have bumped into the red and just left it long to bottom right. I mean, does this even pass the 8? It doesn't, does it? I don't think so.
He's got a crazy thin cut here.
Just felt like he could have just pushed the red up the table and left the yellow straight to bottom right.
Yeah, I think he was maybe worried about maybe just sliding off it, leaving a trickier pot if his white went to the side rail.
Yeah. Cue ball's going to be running, and he's tried to hold it. I think I would have probably rather seen the cue ball.
Yeah, I'd have
just let it run around
up and down the table. Yeah. I would have went.
Yeah.
I'd have gone. He's played that with left hand side. I think I'd have played it with extreme right.
Yeah.
Cue ball up and down the table.
He's going for the punch double. I think he sees the fairly big pocket.
He's kind of given up on that a bit, hasn't
he? Yeah.
He's gone to punch and then he's kind of just decelled down on it a little.
Not the performance that Peter would have hoped for on this arena table. He's to say off the back of a impressive win against Cole Bedford, so we know he can do the business, but he's not being able to find his game in this one. but there's a lot of players that have been on the rough end of a score line from Stevie Dempsey, so there's no shame in that. And that was a quick one.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that? About 15 minutes or something, was it? Yeah, well, 20 minutes, I think. 25 left on the clock.
Mm-hmm.